Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to UCD Smurfit Virtual Open Day. My name is Elaine Ahern, and I'd like to introduce my colleague Joe Houghton, Professor Joe Houghton, who looks after the Project Management Master's Program and also the part-time online Project Management Program. So today, Joe's going to give you an outline of the Project Management Master's. I'll do the questions in the background. So I head up the admissions and the recruitment. So really, if you have any questions on admissions or any questions on your application, I'll pop my email into the chat. But also the website is pretty comprehensive. But if you have any questions in the background, I'm happy to deal with them. Joe, I'll hand over to you.
Fantastic. Thanks, Elaine. Okay, we are going to take 29 minutes to talk you through the master's programs at Smurfit. Use the chat or the Q&A for questions. If you have questions, be great to get questions. But as Elaine said, we're going to put some links up in the chat as well to the project management website where the program details are. There are also other sessions going on which you may want to go to over the next 2 or 3 hours. So there'll be a link to those as well in the chat. And Elaine's already put her email address, so it's elaine.ahern@ucd.ie in the chat. So Elaine is head of admissions. So if there's anything we can't answer straight away, Elaine can come back to you later on through that email. I've shared. One of the Smurfit team just confirmed to me that share is working okay. If you would, somebody come back on and tell me. I'm going to say yes, it is. Fantastic. Okay, so welcome to Project Management at Smurfit. I'm the course director, which basically means 20 years ago I kind of helped write this program, and I've run it ever since. It's not sat doing nothing for 20 years. It's a vibrant, evolving program. We build AI into it now. We're constantly bringing in companies. I had a Dragon's Den with my students on Monday, and we brought 4 or 5 people in from industry to comment on their work, their interim work and stuff like that. We have 17 or 18 companies in with the students this semester, where the student teams are working with the companies. Very practical program. Smurfit is about business. It's about preparing students for the realities of life in whatever business area the different master's programs are looking at, and project management is no different to any of those. So, quick introduction to Smurfit generally, if you're not familiar with who we are and what we do. I'm going to introduce you to the program, and just take you through some bits and pieces about the program. We run the master's program in project management in 2 modes. Not all the programs run in 2 modes, but ours does. So we have a 1-year full-time program. So that's typically either students who are coming from a primary degree and then topping up, with a Smurfit Masters before they kind of go into their first major role in business or set their own businesses up or whatever. So, but increasingly, we're also seeing students coming with 3 to 5 years experience who want, a master's program to advance them in the job market. So it's a really interesting mix. We have roughly 70 students, I think, in the current cohort, drawn from more than 20 countries. So it's, we are a global university, and it really does show, particularly in the full-time cohort, which is a bigger cohort. The part-timers do it. So the full-time lectures are all during the day. It's in person on campus, in the wonderful campus, at Smurfit. The part-time students, it's a different ask from the part-time students. Most of them are working. A lot of them are not necessarily based in Dublin. I have 2 students in Australia at the moment working. 1 student in Iceland who had to actually move house because of the volcanic eruption that happened a few months ago. We have students moving around the world during the program because their job is taking them to different parts of the world. And that's the idea. It's an online program. You can do it from anywhere. Um, we had one of our Olympians last year, Emily Lane. She was playing in the women's rugby sevens Olympic squad, and you can imagine the calls on Emily's time. And she did her masters online, never missed a class, from wherever she was in the world, training and even during the Olympics. It was amazing. So we're not going to talk to the supply chain management MSc in this particular session. No, that's been answered. Okay. Why project management? Because demand for project management students and graduates is one of the fastest growing areas in business. Projects are the vehicle of change for most businesses. It's how we get things done. Okay, you put a project together, you figure out who you need to be involved, what resources you need, you do a plan, you execute the project, you've delivered something, you've delivered some change. Now, it doesn't matter whether you're a bank, whether you're a hospital, whether you're an IT company, whether you're a builders or a construction company or whatever. Projects is the way things get done. So a lot of people come to project management because it offers a lot of doors that are open at the end of it. Maybe you don't know quite where you want to end up yet. You don't know whether you want to join a big IT company like Microsoft or eBay or someone, or maybe you want to go for a smaller company, or maybe you want to start your own business. Project management equips you with the skills to get stuff done, whether it's in big corporates, whether it's in small non-profits, whether it's starting your own business. So it's a very transportable, transversal set of skills that can apply to many, many different parts of the the spectrum of business that's out there. You will be in demand. There's no doubt about it. I mean, we have mid-90s, I think, are placed. I think it's 3 to 6 months after the end of the masters. That's how the kind of the numbers work. If you can go on the website and have a look at it, the ones that aren't placed decided to go traveling for a year or did a PhD. We have pretty much, everybody gets a job out of the project management program. And because it's Smurfit, yes, you can send your CVs out, but employers are coming in and actively soliciting students and looking for them. Smurfit is a prestigious institution, and graduates from Smurfit tend to get snapped up pretty quickly. So that's that. Okay. Oh golly, that's a big that's a big question. I think we will answer some of those questions as we go along, in terms of electives and what, coming from a food background and stuff like that. The background of the school in terms of things like structured career coaching, we have a fantastic careers team. And so every Smurfit student gets, time if they want it with the team, helping them with their career planning. Lots of stuff coming across the admission, the careers team desk in terms of available opportunities and stuff like that. So at master's level, there's not so much support for assisting professors with research because these are taught masters, they're not masters, research masters. But you'll find that most of the students are very open to, engaging with students, talking to students, looking at work, that kind of stuff. As far as I'm aware, and Elaine, you can maybe talk to this as well. Certainly on the project management masters, there's no pre-reading required. We assume zero knowledge. We will take people from any discipline, and we will start you from zero and get you to a point where you are ready to go as a project manager by the end of the program. I don't know whether that's the case for all the other master's programs. Elaine, do you want to talk to that?
Yeah, that is the case, Joe, for all the other project management or the other management programs. So today we are focusing on the project management, but there's a generalist master's webinar at 15:30. And then if you've any questions around international management, or as this is some candidate there has questions on the business strategy, the food business strategy, we can answer them. But yeah, no, Joe, we assume everybody comes in with the kind of a zero knowledge.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, again, I can't speak in detail to the other programs, but I can certainly speak in detail to the project management program. Most of it, you come and do a master's at Smurfit, you're there for change. Okay, you're not there to stay in the same job that you're in right now. So you're either wanting a promotion within the company that you're in, or you're wanting to switch across to either a different industry or a different industry segment or a different company. And we will help you do that. All the assignments are not just academic assignments to write a paper about something that you will never use again. Okay. Most of the assignments in the project management program are highly practical. You're practicing the skills of project management, but what we try and do is set them up so that they are very relevant to you in work. And if we need to tweak the assignments, or you want to tweak the assignments to make it more relevant to your particular situation, we are open to that discussion, and we will facilitate that. I want students to be selfish. I don't want to just you to come in and be given a standard set of stuff that doesn't really apply to you. So we move things around as we go along, depending on the cohort of the year, depending on what's happening in the world, and we make it very relevant and very practical. So you're not just being taught out of a textbook, because textbooks are very often out of date, even as soon as they're written. Careers, there we are. Careers we've mentioned already. Lots of different ways of learning. We use online learning. All the material in the full-time program is also covered in the part-time program. So, it's the same material, just delivered in different modes. We say to students in either mode of study, if something happens and you can't make a class, for instance, in the day, you can come to the evening class with the part-timers. Or if the part-timers fancy coming in for a week or two and joining the full-time class and sitting in the classroom rather than coming in online. Same material, come in, sit with the class and enjoy being part of the physical environment and stuff like that. Lectures, workshops, group work. Roughly half the assessed work is done in teams. We put you into teams, a different team in each semester. So you are going to learn to work in a team if you're not doing that already. And then the other half of the assessed work is individual. So typically, handed in towards the end of the semester, but depending on the assignment, there might be interim submissions and stuff as well. You're going to be doing a lot of peer group discussion. You're going to be interfacing with people within the college, outside of the college. You're going to be working with companies. You're going to be working with charities. Very, very practical. Smurfit, like any other educational institution, it's a tough program. This is one of the top business universities in the world, and we expect a level of dedication to doing the program, to completing all the work and all the rest of it. But at the same time, whether it's a 1 year or a 2 year program, that's a long time. And in any kind of period of time of study, you're going to go through some ups and some downs. There'll be some stuff happening in your life or whatever. So it is okay not to be okay. And I have a long background in mental health. I'm chair of the board of a big mental health charity. And we are very conscious of the fact that student life is not always easy. If you're a part-timer, you're probably in a full-time job at the same time. If you're a full-timer, you're probably running a part-time job to help pay for college. So there are those stresses going on. There's the stresses of finding accommodation. There's all the normal life stresses that go on. So it's okay not to be okay. We have a fantastic student advisor team, Cleaner, and there are other student advisors as well. the lecturing team, the program office team. Smurfit is set up to help you succeed, not to, just force you down a path. Okay. We want to help you develop your career and develop your life and be bigger, better people when you come out of the Smurfit experience than you were when you came in. And we will bend over backwards to help that. So it's not just a matter of show up for class, "Oh, that's the only time you're ever going to see me," kind of thing. Pastoral care is very important to Smurfit as a whole. Elaine, you see that from the other side of things. You see students kind of stressed about coming in and all the rest of it. Talk to this area.
Yeah, I suppose just Joe, I mean, I suppose everybody comes in, worried that they, should do pre-reading or whatever. So, what I'd say to you is that academics treat everybody as if they're starting from ground zero. Also, anything that you're experiencing isn't anything we haven't seen before.
No.
Everybody feels, if you're coming to us from a new country or a new city, it just takes some time to settle in. There is a lot of excellent clubs and
Yeah.
societies in the main campus. We also have the Global Leadership Program, which I know has been covered in well, my admissions team are covering it. And that's a really good way to get to know people. I suppose what I always say to students is um, whatever you put into the masters is what you'll get out of it. As you rightly said, we have an excellence career team, but don't leave it until the 11th hour to go looking for, support. Attend the sessions they give you, work with them. If they give you work to do on your LinkedIn page or on your CV page, they have a lot of external companies come in. They do this thing now where they're doing sort of speed dating with certain consultancy companies that come in, and you get so much time with different companies. So attend as much as you can and read your emails, because that's often what students don't do, is read the emails.
Yes. Yeah, everything is done online. For the part-time program and for the full-time program, all the material is delivered online. We have this thing called an LMS, a learning management system, called Brightspace. And it's basically this electronic portal, and you log in as a student, and you have your courses, and you have each of the sessions, and under each of the sessions there might be a slide deck, and some readings and some videos, and all the rest of it. So all the material is available electronically. You can get to it through any device, wherever you are in the world. We're quite sustainable these days. The old days of handing out large amounts of paper and stuff have gone. I'm paperless as a professor now, and I think many people have gone that way. So yeah. Okay, let's carry on. So here's a differentiator for project management. For my sins, I've now written 16 books. I do it, as a pastime. I love writing. And I introduced this about 4 or 5 years ago. You're going to do a big project at the end of the program. It's called a capstone project, and you can write something on project management. And any topic works as long as it's to do with project management. So it occurred to me, well, if you're going to spend 2 or 3 months writing up a big piece, you know, you can either write it as a paper, you could write it as a business plan, you could write it as a process analysis or whatever, or you could write a little book. And what we tend to do now is allow students to do their capstones in 2s and 3s. So if you want to pair up with somebody else, 2 or 3 of you can write. You've got more than enough material for a book, and a book is just a document wrapped in a certain way, and I show you how to do that. What we're seeing increasingly now is students are taking this opportunity, because that means that not only do you finish your time at Smurfit with a master's degree, but you're also a published author on Amazon. Yeah, because I'll take you through the process of getting it up onto Amazon. Costs nothing to do. Okay, and now you're a published author, and that is a huge tick on your CV, because now you can say, I'm a published author and here's a book I wrote. Okay. And you've got the time and the space to do the research and put a good book together and stuff like that. So this is becoming quite a popular option for students. If you're a part-timer and you want to do the project on your own, that's fine. A lot of projects that are done by the part-timers are to do with their work, so that they can get that promotion or become a subject matter expert or whatever. again, we facilitate all that kind of stuff. So there's one of the full-time student teams classes from a little while ago. Typically 20 countries all around the world. We generally have quite a good Indian contingent. We have a number of students come from China. Every year there is a contingent from Thailand who have a kind of national scholarship program. So and all over Europe, USA, everywhere. And that means that your experience of Smurfit is a multicultural experience. You're going to be working with people from different parts of the world who've come through different educational systems, who have different points of view. And that adds to the mix, that adds to the vibrancy and to the discussions, and it really enhances the learning experience. We're very focused as a university, UCD in general, that we are a global university, and that is a definite, huge plus to coming and studying at Smurfit. So, as I say, the part-time program tends to be a little bit more mature than the full-time program. Typically, they might have, 7 to 20 years experience. They're coming in because maybe they've got to a point in their career where now a master's will give them a jump, or they want to switch. They want to move. So slightly different dynamic. They've had a bit more experience. They've got some war stories. They've got kind of experience to hang learnings on and stuff like that. So I think part-timers take something different out of the program to full-timers because they've got more hooks to connect things with. But it works for everybody. So if you come and do the full-time program, it's the 7 core courses over 1 year. So you do 3 in the first semester, which is mid-September through end of November. Then you have Christmas off. Then mid-January through to end of April is semester 2. And then over the summer semester, we would do typically in maybe May, late May, early June, we'll do kind of a short talk course called Hot Topics, which is based around the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, and design thinking, stuff like that. And then you're going to do your capstone project. And lots of names against that because most of the lecturing team who've maybe taught you for one of the other modules also are available then to act as what we call supervisors. So you're touching base with one of the academic lecturing team while you do that bigger project. Which is submitted by the close of play, which is mid-August. If you do it part-time, we split it slightly differently. So part-timers do 2 modules each semester. So first year, September, and then January, and then they have the summer off in the end of the first year. And then the second year, they just have 1 module in the first term, and then 2 in the second term, and then just the capstone. Okay, but they're juggling life and family and work, full-time work as well. Huge amount of difference, Pratik, between this and the professional academy management diploma. This is a feeder. The professional academy management diploma feeds into maybe this, but this is a full MSc. This is much more in depth. So you are going to be a much more rounded project manager having done the MSc than you would doing the diploma. The diploma is a good course. Professional Academy are fantastic, and we work with them quite closely. And Elaine has spearheaded that kind of that funnel between the 2 parts of UCD. So that's great. So the 2-year part-time program is fully remote. So we tried it hybrid. We tried it for 1 year just to see, and I said to all the students, okay, you can dial into Zoom or you can come into class, whichever you prefer. We had a class of 22 that year, and the most I ever had in the class physically was 3. So we listened to our students, you see. So we said, okay, right, well, then the part-timers want to be online, and now it's worked really well. We've got 25-ish normally in the cohort online. But we've got people from Cork and Galway, we've got people from Australia and from Lithuania and from Iceland and from Spain and stuff like that. So again, it's actually, I think it's enhanced the program, because previously, if you didn't live within the Dublin and within an hour's drive of Smurfit for a Monday night and a Wednesday night or whatever, you couldn't do the part-time program. Whereas now it doesn't matter. It's independent of location. So typical workload for the part-time program, 2 taught sessions in the week. So the first year, Monday and Wednesday night, 6 till 8 or 6 till 8:30, something like that. Second year, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Okay, so 2 evenings, synchronous teaching. You need to be online talking to your classmates and the lecturer for those sessions. They are recorded. So if you really can't make it, you can watch the recording, but we encourage people to come to class because it's a community as well, and you're learning from each other as much as you're learning from me. And then the other expectation is probably about another 12, 15 hours on top of those 2 evenings to do the work, to do the self-directed learning work. And you might think, oh, there's no way I can find 20, 25 hours a week, or 30 hours a week. You can carve it out. You've got to stop watching Netflix, and you've got to actually dedicate yourself to a master's to get it done. But it's very doable, even with a full-time program. I'm actually, running all my teaching, but I'm studying a master's program this year in advanced digital technologies for business, just to keep myself, fully up to date, all the rest of it. And it's doable. You find the time. You reorganize yourself to do it. And talking of time, I have 4 minutes. So let me just run through the last few slides, because I have to be gone by 1:45. You can switch between programs if your life changes, if the job changes or whatever. You start in the full-time and you need to go to part-time, or the other way around. So once we've got you, we will facilitate you finishing, or you land the job and you need to step away after the first semester, okay, and take a year just to get your feet in the new role or whatever. Then you come back a year later and slot into the program, and we will get you finished.
That Joe
Now,
only applies to EU students, doesn't apply to non-EU students. So a non-EU student can't start the full-time program and then pivot on to the part-time. It's
right.
due to visa, it's a visa issue.
Visa things, but they can take a leave of absence and kind of come back next year or whatever to continue
They
the
could
program.
go home and do it online. They could go home and do it online, but they can't stay in the
Yeah.
country and do it online.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you've got visa limitations, then that is going to affect you. But otherwise, we're as flexible as we can be. And I think the longest it's taken a student to graduate was 12 years. We don't encourage that.
Don't recommend that one.
But it can be done, if life happens. Most of our college team, the lecturing team, are not academics. They are academic practitioners, so they're academically qualified, obviously, and we have some very high-powered academics. I mean, Kate, particularly at the moment on the lecturing team, is a very high-powered academic. But a lot of us are more practitioner-led. I had 25 years experience and ran 3,000 people for General Electric. So I bring that knowledge of big business and running teams globally and all the rest of it and stuff. And most of the lecturing team are bringing similar levels. Smurfit, is a top institution, and we hire good people. You're going to do real projects. You're going to run company projects to do business planning and feasibility analysis and project planning. You're going to run charity project fundraisers and resilience and capability raising and stuff like that. And over the last 15 years, our charity projects have raised close on €1 million now, for loads and loads of different charities across Ireland. So we've got a social awareness very clearly running through this program. It's not just aimed at corporate. As many of my students go to non-profits and social enterprises, I think, then end up in corporates, and some start their own businesses. There's a medal based on for Ken Meets, that was my mentor into Smurfit. He taught me on my MBA 25 years ago. So when he passed away a few years ago, we have a medal now which remembers Ken, and the top student each year gets that. So that could be you. Yeah. So that your name could be on one of those medals in a year or two's time. We have links to things like the Association of Project Management, so you get membership of that. And Elaine mentioned earlier on Global Leadership Program, which is an extracurricular program run by Peter Condon. Amazing program, absolutely fantastic program. If you get a chance to go on that, absolutely do it. We cover Agile, we cover all the different project management methodologies. We look at Six Sigma, we look at Lean. Yeah, it's not just old style waterfall. And we also incorporate AI throughout the whole program. We will teach you how to use AI. We'll encourage you to use AI, and we'll show you how best to use it in this very fast evolving project management field. And again, I've written 7 books on AI so far, with more in progress. So, we do have expertise in that area. I'm going to stop my share because I'm out of time. I think we've answered most of the questions as we've gone along, haven't we?
Suppose the questions, you brought up one, Joe, there just about AI, how it's embedded in the program. So I guess that's a question, as you said. I mean, AI is embedded across to all our programs in different modules, and I guess that's really important. Just to highlight as well the career outcomes. So like 93% on this program were employed within 6 months. So there's a very good employment ratio on this program. As you said, it's a cross industry. So the project management is the future of work and how people work. You highlighted the course content, so that's kind of questions that came up. And the whole idea of why us over any other university is our accreditations. We're Triple Crown accredited, and we have been for over 25 years. So it's you're not just getting the connections and the network and the career support. You're also getting accreditation and reputation. So that's, I suppose, very important to highlight.
Smurfit is known around the world. It's not just known in Ireland. It's known around the world as one of the top universities, and we've consistently for the last 15, 20 years been in the top 100 business schools in the world. And there's thousands and thousands of business schools. Yeah. And we're constantly in that top 100. I think, we're in the top 50 at the moment, I think. So it's, you're making a good choice coming to Smurfit.
Yeah, and I suppose one last question that came up, Joe, and of our programs, of our master's programs, of the 20, we've 27 if you take the part-time programs and the online programs, but about 70% you can be a non-business graduate, okay? Yeah. So that you're eligible for them as a non-business graduate.
Oh yeah, we've had priests, we've had musicians, we've had social workers, we've had a lot of people want to transition maybe from healthcare into consulting. Something like that. So that's very common now.
I was asking the question is, how does it work for employers? A lot of employers now would view that, depending on what your undergraduate program was, it's how you then frame that, how you work with careers, how you frame that narrative around, as Joe rightly said, okay, what your undergrad is, it's then how you frame it. So Karan's question is around the food industry. So depending, you can frame that and work with careers depending. If I'm interested in the role, it's a bit difficult to give you a yes or no answer to that question. It's more really, what kind of role are you looking for in the food business industry? What kind of companies? What are you bringing to it? What's your background? What's your previous experience? What did our internships? So I'd say to you, Karan, that's a really difficult question just to answer in one go. But
I would sit down with you and look at your situation and show you how to frame yourself into the market. So that you were more attractive to different employers and stuff. Listen, I've got to go. I'm 5 minutes.
Thank you as ever, and the best of luck, and I'll see you soon.
Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Soon.
Bye.
Bye. Michelle, you're asking a question there. I'll answer it live on recognition of prior learning. Perhaps send me an email separately. I will type in my email because, again, a long question on there. and you can send me your question. I think that I have answered this. Yep. So I've answered that and this. So the tuition fees are all on the website. So if you want to have a look at the website, we've put the links in there. So the tuition fees for EU and non-EU are on the website. So if you go to our UCD Smurfit website, you'll see the fees. The reason I'm not quoting the fees right now is that they're currently showing the fees for now. So the 2025, so that'll show you. So please have a look at those fees. I think that I have answered all the questions, Beth, and Joe has left. So I guess that brings us to the end of the webinar. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me or any one of my team. Thank you all for your time today.